Hello. So we're doing another podcast. Today I have Lexapro, who I met on the internet. Lexapro is very new vegan and very new to activism, although she started almost immediately having gone vegan. She's her local organizer for PETA Students Opposed to Speciesism. She's done a lot of Omegle activism on the internet, which is where we met. And she's also recently started going to AV Cubes. Anyway, Lex, it's wonderful to have you. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, great to have me as well.
Way. So, sort of usually we start like right at the beginning, the immaculate conception of how you became vegan. So, like wherever the story starts, like
Yeah.
wherever you began and however you sort of made your way towards it.
Yeah, my story is really up and down and around.
Uh-huh.
So basically, I'd heard about vegetarian, pescatarian. I always thought it was like a cool challenge growing up. But I never really knew what it was, and especially not veganism. That was way later. But at first, my first interaction with a vegan was actually my best friend in high school, and they told me about it. And as soon as I found out, I was like, I'm going vegetarian today. I don't even know what that means. I'm just going vegetarian today because I always wanted to do it. I just didn't know what. I just assumed she would tell me the rest. Quite a bit of pressure to put on her, but I thought that was doing enough for a while, and yeah, I did that for a little bit, and then I was on and off because I was not really understanding why I was doing it. I was just doing it to do it, I think.
Okay.
And then I was at one point I stopped being vegetarian. They didn't have options, and my family was being all rough on me, and so I just stopped. And then one day I was just walking in this mall that was near my house, and when I went into this place, it looked like there was like a jungle kind of theme, and I was like, oh, okay, like what is that? I didn't even know what it was. I walked in and there's like cats and dogs, and now I know that it was a pet store. But at the time I wasn't really sure what was going on in there, and there was like puppies and like fish tanks. And I'm talking like 10, 20 gallon. Like they weren't very big, you know. And they're just all barking, and there's cats everywhere, and it was just really overwhelming to see like these animals treated this way. And I don't know, I was looking at them just like this is really bad. Like a lot of them look really sick, and it was my first time really walking into I think a pet store as an adult. Yeah, so I see all of that, and then I get to the back, and all the way in the back, there's a bunch of like guinea pigs, and at this point, I also had my own guinea pigs. Actually, I don't know if I had just the one or the two at the time, because I got one first, and then I got the other, realizing they were social. But I did a lot of research on them before I actually got my animals, and when I saw the way that they were treated in the store, like they didn't even have hay, and they're grazing animals, so they need hay at all times. So that was it. Really, I was almost in tears. Just seeing that alone, I didn't even have to see like slaughterhouse footage or anything. I was like, wow, this is wrong. This is bad. I don't know. I got to get this place shut down. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was like, I had a plan to get this place shut down.
Wow.
And I walked out, and I was calling all these numbers, and I was calling this number and that number, and just trying to figure out what we could do about this place. And yeah, they just kind of all gave me like crappy answers, nothing really reassuring, to be honest. And then eventually I stumbled upon PETA's website, because they had like a report animal abuse kind of page or something that came up on Google. And then I was just scrolling on their website just in general, because I was like, I don't know, I'm trying to look for the link on how to do it and all of this stuff. And by the way, this went on over the course of like 5 days. like
Okay.
straight. I was calling numbers back to back and waiting for responses and
Uh-huh.
stuff. And but yeah, I got to PETA's website and I just started seeing like, all the stuff you see, like, why is this animal not important? Look how easy veganism is. Look at
Uh-huh.
this, look at that. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've
Uh-huh.
been spending 5 days of my life trying to get this pet store closed down, and I'm eating animals every single day.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And it just clicked all of a sudden. It was like an epiphany that just hit me
Mhm.
all of a sudden, and I was like, wow, I need to be vegan. I need to be truly vegan. um Put my full heart into it. I need to be an activist, more
Mhm.
importantly. um and so I just did it. I dedicated my next grocery shopping list. I planned it all out, and I just went for it. I decided I was just going to finish all the products in my house, and
Mhm.
next thing I bought was going to be vegan. Didn't care how. I was going to do it. I was going to do it.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's kind of the story of how I went vegan.
Okay,
A
and
little
you
bit
you
there,
said
yeah.
you're an adult. So like, are we talking like, what age were you?
I think I was 21 or 22.
Okay. Wow.
So I honestly haven't even been vegan all that long. I've
Uh,
only been vegan for like a little over a year now.
okay. Wow. I didn't realize it was that short because you've done quite a bit to say. That's really cool. So when was the vegetarian phase then?
That was when I was in high school. That was when I had a vegan best friend. I was primarily eating plant-based
Mhm.
um in general because I would spend every day at her house.
Mhm.
But like I said, I think I didn't really have like the mindset just yet. I understood that it was fairly easy
Mhm.
to do it. I don't know, I was like still addicted to cheese, and I
Mhm.
didn't really get it yet. But I think it was those guinea pigs, just like seeing how like absolutely depressed they were and malnutrition they were. It struck really close to home. I make every single companion animal I have my entire personality.
No.
Um,
So what?
so
So what happened to the pet store? Did you get them shut down?
no, it's been a long journey. I actually started looking them up around that time as well. They'd already been sued. Actually, they changed local laws
Uh-huh.
because of this pet store. It was so bad that they actually had to make more laws around them.
Uh-huh.
Specifically, that was what and yeah, inspired the local laws,
Mhm.
that place, and that's how bad it is in there.
Mhm.
Um, People have been trying to get them shut down. I've been signing like every petition, but they've been trying to get them shut down apparently for like 10 years. I or something like that. It's been a while, but
Okay.
they're breeders
Mhm.
too, and
Yeah.
uh, stuff like that. But I do post about them every so often. Um, it's but I've been falling more into the veganism kind of activism journey.
Mhm.
I've been realizing people don't even know where protein comes from. So
Yeah. Yeah.
tackling it from that angle can be really hard
Uh-huh.
when people aren't even convinced that animals deserve respect in general.
So did you? So you went vegan later in life, but were you still in contact with the vegan friend, or were you not in contact with
Uh,
them?
yeah, so I moved as of like a few years ago.
Mhm.
And then she also moved. She went away to college somewhere else. We still do talk occasionally. We're not friends,
Uh-huh.
but it's definitely a little bit more distant over the years.
But you presumably you got in contact and said like, "Hey, I'm vegan now."
Oh yeah, yeah. She was like, "Oh my God, great, that's amazing."
Oh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I recently posted a photo actually doing some stuff for AV,
Uh-huh.
and she was like, "Yes, yay!"
Uh-huh.
Um,
You weren't like, "Hey, why didn't you explain the ethics to me earlier? What the fuck?"
You know, she probably did. I don't really.
Uh-huh.
It was so long ago that I was in high school. I really don't know. She might have, but
Mhm.
I probably was still having like that carnist kind of mindset where I was like, but cheese though,
Yeah.
I need it for whatever reason. Um,
Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes we have to see it for ourselves. It can't be explained to us. Um,
yeah, she might have also been treading a little lightly because we were really close, and I think
mhm.
she did do some activism. Like I do remember she would describe little things to me here and there,
Mhm.
but it can be really pushy to just do that with especially someone that you like really care about.
Yeah.
We were teenagers, so I
Yeah,
don't
right.
blame her. She was a little young.
And if you're a preachy vegan in high school, it's a very quick way to not have any friends, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And we do need some friends. Um,
Yeah.
okay. So
Well, I'm
like,
vegetarian,
uh-huh.
so as soon as I saw her, like I was like, "Oh, you're vegan? I'm going vegetarian today."
Oh,
Um,
that's good.
so I think she was a little like
Mhm.
she knew that she could talk about it sometimes, but I guess she didn't want to push too hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So
What were you gonna say?
was she your only vegan friend then? Or like person you knew who was vegan?
Yeah, I think that was my first ever person I ever met that didn't eat meat in general. Not even like vegetarian.
Mhm. So, but when you,
Not even a pescatarian. Nothing. I did not know anybody growing up.
uh-huh,
Besides her. Yeah.
uh-huh. So, but when you went vegan, did you go vegan with any other people, or was it just you on your own and this one person who you knew a while ago?
It was just me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Um, my boyfriend recently did go vegan,
Mhm.
but that was only like a year after I had gone vegan.
Okay. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So, did Vistopia set in quickly then, or did it did it not, or how did that happen?
Wait, did what?
Vistopia. So the idea that you're
Um,
living in a world that doesn't in any way like sort of align with ethics that you hold.
oh, I think it set in a few months in to
Mhm.
being vegan. It really started to hit. It was like the government is a lie.
Uh-huh.
Especially when I started getting more and more comments, like about you know, like if we were at dinner or something, people would ask me like the world's dumbest questions,
Uh-huh.
or they would be like angry at me for some reason. I did experience a little bit of that
Uh-huh.
when I was vegetarian, but I think it got way worse when I was vegan with my family.
Mhm.
I think because they just cannot like wrap their head around the idea that I could live without cheese.
Mhm.
Especially, I think it's because I'm Italian.
Ah,
My
okay.
family is, so they definitely they don't really get it. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Like traditional family meals are just a thing that they care about. I don't know. It's food's important to
I make
people.
Italian food.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, I make Italian food all the time.
Mhm.
I just don't use that cheese. I use a different cheese.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, I don't know. It's also my grandmother was in Austria like during the Great Depression, and
Mhm.
she thinks like I'm rejecting food out of like being spoiled
Oh,
rather
okay.
than an actual movement
Uh-huh.
too. So it's a little hard to explain it, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sounds hard. I mean, I think it's hard for everyone with their family when, inevitably they don't go vegan, right? But
Hmm.
so when did you sort of like when did you meet your first other vegan then? After you've gone vegan, like how did you bump into a new vegan? A vegan that you sort of met since
Oh
being vegan?
yeah. So well immediately after um, I think like going with PETA and seeing all of that, I was like, I need to jump into activism.
Mhm.
Like as quickly as I absolutely can.
Mhm. Wow.
So I thought, I'd apply for their hub organizer role for their S.O.S program,
Okay.
which is Students Opposing Speciesism.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I I didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew that I wanted to get this message out somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you can, look in your area and you can see, and there was no one in my area. That's why I applied for it in hopes that I would find some other vegans and then we could go out together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then in the midst of all of that, I had joined Vegan World I was on TikTok, I guess because I was looking at more and more recipes during that time.
Uh-huh.
Um, I saw that vegan teacher, she was promoting Vegan World on her
Wow.
live stream, and I was like, all right, I'll join. And I really just joined because I thought it was funny
Uh-huh.
because they were giving her like cowboy hats and she was yelling, and
Uh-huh.
I was like, I got to see this drama. But then it ended up being really amazing once I discovered Omegle and stuff. I started seeing like that was when I guess I kind of met more vegans that way.
Mm-hmm.
Not really in person, but that was like the only other vegans I really knew was by joining vegan Discord.
Yeah.
And it's actually how I learned activism as well. I saw other people doing it. I would just sit and just listen for a while. And then after like a few days, I just jumped into it. And I honestly was becoming more and more convinced of veganism as I was hearing outreach being
Mm-hmm.
done in these spaces. And I think that's really what straightened out my beliefs. It was getting the perfect words in.
Mm-hmm. So that's wild that
Yeah,
you
and
that you joined Vegan World like not even that sort of far into your veganism journey. Like what? Are we talking like months? Are we talking like 6 months? Like how long had
I
you been
think
vegan when you joined Vegan World?
probably like 3 months. I was
Wow.
not vegan very long.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, I just made Discord like a little bit before then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just joined to join, and yeah, like I said, I had a lot of like social anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and I was actually really nervous to get into outreach.
Yeah.
Um, but weirdly enough, by doing outreach in online spaces, I think it really helped with my in-person outreach
Mm-hmm.
because people online are just a whole different breed. Most
Yeah. Yeah.
people they're not going to get as angry at you as people online because they're hidden behind an avatar.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If
it,
you
it
if you can
definitely
do
healed my
outreach, if you can do outreach on a vegan world, you can do outreach everywhere, right? Like
yeah,
right, like
exactly.
right. Although I suppose you can't be stabbed on Vegan World, but like people will say all sorts of really awful things to you on Vegan World.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we used to do TV or Omegle like together, right? But I don't really remember like when we started doing because I used to do it quite a lot, and I remember you used to
Yeah,
go and listen to me. Um, but I also remember you doing it and me listening to you a few times. Um,
yeah.
when we met, which I can't remember when it was, like how long had you been on Vegan World? Like how much outreach had you been doing? Like did I meet you just as you started or?
You probably met me
Because I remember,
probably like 6 months in to me being vegan.
okay, because I remember our first conversation about you doing students opposed to speciesism. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't remember much before that. Okay, so you, what's the question I'm going to ask here? So how much Omegle stuff did you do?
I was kind of getting obsessive about it.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh huh.
I was absolutely you know what it really was? I was just in love with talking to people.
Uh huh.
I never really had the space to talk about, these beliefs and put them into words and
Hmm.
just going through Omegle, I fell in love with activism. You
Hmm.
know, there was yeah, of course, yeah, there wasn't so great conversation sometimes, but the ones that were great were really great,
Hmm.
and it it made it so much more worth it. Even if I was just planting seeds and just having people kind of think in a new way for the first time, it really made me do like a 360.
Mhm.
And I was, yeah, I was probably doing it for like 6 hours almost every day. I was
Wow.
dedicating a lot of my life. Like I was pulling all nighters for outreach,
Uh-huh.
just trying to get in like a bunch of practice too, because again, I didn't really know any other activists,
Uh-huh.
so I would either be listening to other activists when I wasn't doing, or I was doing outreach
Mhm.
um, almost most of the day. Yeah.
It's amazing. I used to think that like the old Omegle was like way better than like the current Home TV. But my last couple of like streams have been like really productive, I think. Um, so have
Sure.
you done it recently?
I've done a little bit. I've been focusing more on like in-person activism, and
Mhm.
I've been busier more recently. I've slowed down a little bit on the activism, but I definitely still do quite a bit of it.
Mhm.
Just not like 6 hours every day.
Yeah, it's not exactly like sort of like you can't really keep that up, right? That's not
Yeah.
sustainable.
Oh no, no, definitely. I definitely took a break for a while too. Um, but yeah, I would say I was probably just addicted to it. But
Yeah.
in like an amazing kind of way. I think it taught me so much. Um, and again, just even listening to other activists just talking, it it really helped me understand like the full picture of it, because I only had like the small amount that I saw on PETA's website
Hmm.
and nothing else. But talking to people that have been vegan for years and years and years, and the best way to do this and bypass this stupid question and
Hmm.
this and that, it gave me like the tips and tricks that I needed. And I really don't regret it. Even with my break that I did for a while, I don't regret it for a second. It was really awesome.
Yeah. So we sort of vaguely met on the cusp of you beginning Students Opposing Speciesism, S.O.S. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had an event. You were running your first event, if I remember correctly. And you were sort of
Mm-hmm.
practicing by doing like Omegle because you were really worried about it. Um,
Yes.
and then we had a lovely chat where
Yeah.
you sort of told me all about it. And I've forgotten most of that chat, so it's great that I get to hear it again. So firstly, like, how did you sort of get into? You told me that you signed up on the PETA website because like you there wasn't anyone in your local area, so you signed up to organize. But like, what's the process of like signing up to that? How do PETA communicate with you, and sort of what happens?
Yeah. So I first signed up for the to be just a member of S.O.S.
Hmm.
But then I noticed that there was nobody in my area, and especially like no one my age. I didn't really know what I was looking for either, so I signed up. And basically the process for that is you kind of fill out like a application. They ask you, about your activism experience, what's, why you went vegan, and probably some stuff like that. I don't remember exactly what the application process looked like,
Hmm.
since it was so long ago. But then they gave me like a phone call, and within like 15 minutes, they were like, "Oh yeah, your head's right, like in the perfect place right now." Like they accepted me within 15 minutes of the phone call. Um, and
Hmm.
yeah, so that's kind of what I did. I was practicing during that time for it, and so basically what the perks of being a hub organizer is, one, that you get to organize events. You kind of are like the group leader, and um, it is a little bit like it's a little bit easier sometimes when you aren't the hub organizer, because usually the responsibility lies on the hub organizer to do this stuff.
Uh-huh.
But the cool perks is that PETA gives me all of like the stickers to hand out, all of the guides to going vegan,
Hmm.
all of their literature that I would need for any form of protest. or outreach event that I would want to plan.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good with resources on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how many people showed up to your? So how did you find other people? Did PETA just put you in contact with people in your area, or did you have to like self promote, or how did it work?
So when you sign up as a hub organizer, they ask you to also have like some sort of social media or a way of contacting you, like so your members can contact you. So you can pick like Instagram, Discord, email, text message, whatever it is that you would like.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put you on basically their map. So when you go onto their, like, I think it's sos.peta2.com. I could be wrong, but something like that. And the first thing that pops up is the map, and you get to like zoom in and see where the local hub organizers are in your area. And so I do get a lot of people that join via that map because they signed up for the S.O.S program as a member, and then they either get an alert or they just looked on the map on the first page when you open it, and they join that way. I did have to do some like self-promoting and stuff, but for the most part, yeah. I'm just recently, I'm going to be planning some more outreach events now that I have a lot more members, because this is right after Veg Fest, where I did like a lot of the promoting recently. I think that definitely got a lot more people.
That's amazing.
That are ready.
So how many people were at your first event now? So like,
it was just me, to be honest. It was me and my sister.
Okay.
And it was actually quite a while back. It was almost a year ago, because it was around Halloween that I did it. And I planned the events, and we just, pulled up to a local park. A local park, and I was handing out like vegan candy and giving out free vegan starter kits, and basically telling people like, hand out vegan candy. Don't hand out non-vegan candy. It's cruel. Milk is a really common ingredient. Chocolate, gelatin, stuff like that, and kind of just educating people on it.
Oh, okay. So this was for people at Halloween. You were telling people who were giving out candy at Halloween to give out vegan candy.
Yeah, that's what I was doing for my first one. And that was just like me and my sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was it doing it in real life for the first time with strangers?
Like with people I didn't know?
Yeah.
That actually came more later when I started doing stuff for AV. That was my first one with strangers, and that went honestly as well as it could have been, because I had a bunch of activists that have been doing it for a while, and they were just really like happy to see that I joined. There was like 10, 15 of us, something like that.
Wow.
We had like a cube going, and we went out to eat afterwards, and I think it really like sparked a lot of that motivation to get back into activism too, because right before that I was taking a little bit of the break. And they were telling me all these restaurants that I never heard of in the area, and yeah, it went so well. Like, there was a lot of trolls, yeah, of course, because there's always, it was a event basically that was for like summer. It was like a summer event or something, and we just stood in like right in the midst of it doing a cube, and basically there was a lot of kids. People didn't really keep a leash on their kids. So they definitely, they wanted to show those vegans and like show off I guess. But honestly, even with all of that, there were so many more trolls on Omegle.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and again, the good conversations went really, really well.
Uh-huh. So when was AV then? So how much of a time jump did we do to AV?
So far I've done two, I think, events for them, but
Okay.
it was like a few months ago,
Okay.
was the first one. Yeah.
So do they have a cube like once every month, or is it slightly further apart?
No, it's about, oh, sorry. Yes, it's about once a month.
Mhm.
I think depending on what events are going on and
Mhm.
stuff like that. I know my organizer also does stuff for other organizations as well.
Uh-huh.
So, and then she also has like an animal rescue as well. So she is really busy. So she does a little bit of like all the activism, all the
Uh-huh.
different forms.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah, I think
so
most people usually do more than one, unless they're super invested in one. It's really cool to like do a little bit of different things. So how did you find AV?
yeah.
Because presume so you are you still the organizer for Students Against Speciesism then?
I'm one of the
Okay.
organizers.
Oh,
Because there's a bunch of them like throughout the U.S. I think as well in Canada.
yeah, but you're the local organizer. You're your group's organizer.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you end up bumping into AV then? How did you end up finding AV? Or did you just look for them?
Uh, I did see them online like a year before
Hmm.
or something like that. Because like I said, they also do stuff for PETA,
Hmm.
but not in particular like the S.O.S program.
Uh-huh.
But the reason I got into it is because I was looking for more activists. So I was at VegFest and
Uh-huh.
I was trying to like talk to other people that were vegan and seeing if they were interested in joining and basically stuff like that. And then they had a booth at VegFest, and
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, activists, yay! And we kind of sparked up a conversation. Um, and it went like really awesome. They seemed super sweet. Besides, the photos that I had seen of them
Uh-huh.
like a year before, I actually saw them in person, and they were talking, and they were like, "Please join us."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is my sign. I saw them in person, and I just went for it. I joined like the next day, I think.
Uh-huh.
After I joined like their Facebook group and stuff.
Uh-huh. So prior to going to your first AV, which I think you said like had 15 people, or like 10 to 15 people, what was the largest SOS event you'd been at?
They're really small.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
The ones that I've done were honestly like me and one other person.
Uh-huh.
Um, because that's the whole reason I was at VegFest. I was trying to get more activists, and now I have a lot more in my group.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I'm still planning around that one.
Mhm.
But prior to that, and even after AV, I still only have done like really really small, with just
Okay.
like me and one other person.
Mhm.
I also did one at like Pride.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah.
Oh, that's good. I mean, sometimes you part of part of being an organizer is doing these tiny events and not giving up, right? Is continually doing the small events, hoping that eventually one day it won't be a small event. Um,
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I'm okay with doing like smaller events.
mhm.
Um, I still think they're really impactful. Like I said, there's still good conversations to be had.
Mhm.
It being a small group is better than being no group. Because then
Exactly.
those people would have just walked by and
Mhm.
not had outreach done to them when maybe I might have changed their mind that day.
Yeah. So how was Veg?
So
How was Veg Fest? Was that your first Veg Fest?
that was my first Veg Fest. Yes.
Oh, amazing! And how big was it? Was it?
It was. I think they advertised it being the biggest in like the region that I live in.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit of people. There's people that were coming out of state
Mm-hmm.
to go there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a pretty big event. One of the bigger ones that I've been to. There's not much that goes on where I live,
Mm-hmm.
so it was super exciting, and I immediately bought tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Which it was free, but I still bought tickets anyway because I wanted to support them, and I also want like the Veg Fest bag that they were handing out.
Okay. Are we talking like
um,
100 people? Are we talking like how many people do you reckon? How big was the place and how many people?
oh, maybe like a few thousand.
Wow, holy hell. And
Yeah.
were there lots of like vendors with like food and stuff?
Oh, there were so many vendors.
Yeah.
It was super super cool, and that was the really awesome part about it. That's why I was able to get so many like people to join
Mm-hmm.
my group, was because of Veg Fest.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it was there, and I was just talking to other activists and just
Mm-hmm.
other people in general.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, there was so much stuff. There was like the one thing that I was so happy about when I had there was it was a vegan donut. I haven't had a donut in so long, and
Mm-hmm.
that was like my first time in like a hot minute that I had a donut, because I didn't even know vegan donuts like existed.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, oh my god, this is so good. I love it.
Uh-huh.
And they also had some also like really cool um, different types of foods and different businesses
Mm-hmm.
as well. But I was really happy about the donut.
No, that's amazing. When I first sort of discovered that Krispy Kremes, which is a brand in the UK, had vegan donuts, I bought 24 of them off the internet to be delivered to my house, and I just sat and ate them. I was just so happy. It was amazing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so
Yeah.
you said you've got lots more people in Students Against Speciesism now. Like, what constitute lots more people? Are we talking like how many people did you recruit?
We recruited like, I think. Well, the group was very small to begin with. That's why it only had one other person, and they were my family.
Mhm.
So it was before that. I think it was only like 3 people, and then we get like 3 extra people, so it doubled in
That's
size.
cool. That's cool.
Um,
Uh huh.
but the only reason I couldn't get more people is because the S.O.S program cuts off at I think 24 years old.
Uh huh. Uh-huh.
And I didn't want to be like a grown adult going up to children.
Right.
'Cause it starts 13 to 24,
Uh
like I said. So
huh.
I didn't want to go up to anyone that was like a minor. That
Uh-huh.
would be a little awkward, I think. Be like, hey, you want to join my group, kids? Like, no. um,
Uh-huh.
but I did get some people that were interested, but then again, they were just after the cutoff.
Uh-huh.
But then I directed them to the AV because
Uh-huh.
they accept people after that age. So I was like, join them because I can't accept you, but
Uh-huh.
they're probably still cool.
Mhm.
So, and I do know that AV also got a bunch more people to
Mhm.
um, join as well. So maybe some of my recommendations ended up working.
Yeah, right. Like I think it's important to send people to like all parts of the community because eventually they might come back to you anyway, right? Right. You know, wherever you send them, they might end up at your activism anyway. Does replace you?
I I'm not really sure. I guess I don't really have a backup plan. They never really spoke about it with me.
Uh-huh.
But I'm pretty sure after I hit like over that age mark, because I'm 22 years old right now.
Mhm.
So once I get old enough to where I can't anymore, I think they still let me for a little while after.
Mhm.
If not, you'd probably go to their action team, which is 18 plus.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm
Um,
in the UK action team.
yeah, Yeah, I think that's what basically happens, and then you would close up your group, and then I mean, I assume you could take your members with you, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't see why not.
So
So what sort of stuff do they encourage you to do then? Do they just let you sort of do whatever you want, or do they encourage you to do? Because obviously, I think most people know what AV does. But the students against speciesism is sort of the interesting one. Like, what? How have they sort of now that you have maybe a few more members and you can sort of do things? What sort of events do they encourage you to run? Like, what do you do?
um, just about anything you can think of. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I know that they really do like when you do things like on campus. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they basically they send you out any materials that you'll need.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can do it. They do have like kits that you can get from like they have uh what is that one called? Like manifest veganism or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They also have like the Earth Day kit.
Mm-hmm.
They have all sorts of different kits, and they come with like sometimes like snacks
Mm-hmm.
that you can hand out. Sometimes like bracelets or stickers, or they have like themes that they have, but they don't really enforce them. It's more of like an encouraging um thing. They really want you to be as creative as possible because the S.O.S program is designed for Gen Z. So
Mm-hmm.
they want Gen Z ideas flowing and going, and however that looks like, however you think that you can talk to other people, maybe around the same age as you, and get them, to convert, basically.
Mm-hmm. And they primarily want you doing activism on like university campuses.
That is one part of it. I think that's considered a campus rep.
Uh huh.
I'm not currently in school, so I just have like my local group
Uh
that I
huh.
have that I do, and I just go in like local parks or really what, like I said, whatever it is that I want to do.
Uh huh.
But usually I host outreach events.
Okay.
Um, Not really you can do protesting as well, but I like the outreach events more. I think they're much more personal.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay. And what sort of so now you've done VegFest and you're in AV, which you've done two events and you've got a few more people in S.O.S. And you're sort of looking towards the future. You've had a massive VegFest, and presumably you're now looking on the horizon for other VegFests that you can go to. What are you sort of looking for in the future? Like what are the things you're looking forward to doing and like
Um, I mean, I'm looking to do more outreach, maybe broaden my
mm-hmm,
the way that I look at outreach as well. Because now that I've kind of mastered how to talk to people individually,
mm-hmm,
um, maybe I'd actually been thinking about going to a local like animal shelter and volunteering and doing outreach, kind of in not outreach, activism in other ways, because
mm-hmm,
standing up for the animals by literally taking care of them
mm-hmm,
could be really rewarding as well.
100%.
I I guess I'm just gonna probably keep doing what I'm doing for a little while and really see where it takes me. I mean, if you told me like a year and a half ago that this would be my life, I don't know if I'd believe you.
Right.
I do feel like I found my purpose in this, and I just want to keep doing it. I was a little lost for a while, to be honest. So
Mm-hmm.
this was really really a big thing for me. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And I agree. I agree 100%. Like sanctuary visits are like really, really, really good um, ways of like helping sort of like promote animal like sort of rights, right? Because we need these animals to exist. We need people to see them like having, you know, happy normal lives, right? Where they're not a product, they're not like, they don't have a purpose, they're just, you know, they're just being looked after. And that costs money and you know, people's time, right? So when you can donate time whilst also enjoying yourself because you get to be near these animals, that's really good, right? And a lot of the time people sort of will get like burnt out from activism, or they just won't want to do sort of, you know, advocacy or like sort of more sort of like conflict related activism. So getting them to sort of come to a sanctuary instead is like a really good way of sort of making them feel like they're doing their part, like actively also doing their part, but not in a way that they sort of are uncomfortable with.
Yeah, that's like one thing that I think I didn't realize, and I think maybe a lot of newer people thinking about activism don't really understand, is that like just being there is genuinely enough. Because
Mhm.
you know, with something like my last cube especially, that I went to, you know, we were just three people there. The first one we had like 10, 15 members. The next one there was only like three of us. And you know, just having someone to hold up the screen, you don't even have to talk to anybody. You're just being there. And that, with the mask and the screen, um, especially since we were at the art event, people were coming up to us constantly. We didn't even end on time. We ended like 30 minutes after, because people just kept coming up to us being like, what are you doing, what are you doing? And you know, it could have very well been like less than that. And I think it's really important that if you're able to go out and do activism, don't have to have crazy amounts of experience. You literally just have to hold up a screen, or take care of animals, you know, whenever you can. They usually, from my understanding, is rescues are, it's like anything they can get, you know, and it varies in a lot of different skill sets of what they need. I think the one that I was thinking about doing, they have a program where you just bring the cans over to the recycling, and you just put them in the machines to collect the money, like after they give like the canned food. Just the simplest of things, and not even too frequently. But being there is, I think, the most important part. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I, you know, like with AV, like I think I've said this a bunch of times, but like people don't realize that, like, you know, in order for it to function, someone has to hold the TV screens, right? And you know, if you're a chatterbox like me, I don't want to hold the TV screens. So people always think that like if you don't want to talk to people, you're not welcome, right? And that you'll be expected to talk to people. But we actually love people who just stand and hold the TV screens. Like, you know, I used to do activism with a girl from Japan, and you know, her English wasn't bad, but she wasn't particularly confident having outreach conversations in English because she was also shy and she was self-conscious. So she would come and she would just hold the screen for 3 hours straight because she wanted to do activism. Like, she wanted to be a part of it, and that was the way that she felt comfortable doing it. So she did it, and it was wonderful having her there because of the fact that it meant no one else had to hold the TV screens for 3 hours, right?
Yeah. Or even like when you take like shifts, like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll hold it up for, you know, 30 minutes, an hour, you know, and then I got to sit out, but someone has to hold the screen, you know.
Oh yeah. There's no
It,
expectation to
it
hold it for three
definitely.
hours, but she was amazing because she did, which was ridiculous, but she did it. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's what one of the other girls did. We started off with a two person cube and one outreacher.
Uh-huh.
And then I had to step out after, I think, an hour and a half.
Wow.
Because I have joint problems and
That's a
stuff.
long time.
So yeah, so staying in that one place, I get stiff
No.
if I just stay in one place for too long. So I tried to stay in there for as long as possible, because I know the more screens, the more attention.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, I stepped out, and the other girl, she ended up doing for the full 3 hours as well. And
Bonkers.
honestly, thankfully she did, because I we were able to have so many more conversations that way.
Yeah.
Um, because it was one screen, and then we can all split out. And like I said, there's people coming up to us constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of glad that I stepped out when I did, because that's when the rush kind of came.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like 4 people just staring at the same screen, and me and the organizer, we're just looking at each other like, all right, who are you gonna grab? I'm gonna grab this person, and
Mm-hmm.
try to get the conversations going.
Uh-huh.
So it really is important, I think. I'm trying to get my boyfriend now to join me with the cube as well. I think the next time that they have one, I don't know if he's going to take off of work, but if it's on a day that he usually has off, or if it's in advance enough, he might. Because he said he doesn't feel comfortable with outreach, but he definitely wants to do something for the animals. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's a trooper. He'll hold it. I know he's pretty strong like that, so he could do it. And it's great. That means I don't have to be in the queue for so long.
Yeah, right. So after AV, did you go for a meal together?
Yeah, we went to this fully vegan restaurant that was only like a couple blocks down or so. Um, and they were super nice. Right now, I don't have a car or a license, so I had to actually Uber over there. It was kind of a little bit out of my way, but they even drove me home. Like, they were so sweet. And yeah, we went out to eat, like I said, and my boyfriend was like, bring me home like 7 different items. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
Because yeah, we're never. It was actually in a place that I've never been to. Because even though I've lived here for a little while, I'm still not very familiar because of my lack of interaction with other people. But I'm so happy because the first interactions I'm starting to get with people are people that are vegan, and now I get to explore vegan restaurants with them.
Yeah. I never used to go out for food, like never, ever, ever, like never. The moment you start doing activism, you go to so many restaurants after activism. It's like, you're like, oh my god, I need to stop doing activism because of the amount of money I'm spending in vegan restaurants. But it's good, and
I know.
it's like so amazing going out to like a vegan restaurant with like 10 people when you've not done it before. It's like,
yeah. I'm actually happy though when my boyfriend tells me to bring home food. Because then it feels like, even though I don't go out so much, when I do go out after the event, I'm supporting this like restaurant, like double, triple.
yep.
Because he asks for like maybe dinner that night or lunch or something like that, and then he asks for like something he can have for the next day while he's at work, like during his lunch, so we don't have to cook that night because I'll be home like late or something.
Yeah. It's good supporting vegan businesses.
Yeah, so I buy like 3 meals every time I go to a vegan restaurant, and I feel great doing it because it feels so nice to just go to a fully vegan restaurant and not have to worry about any of it.
Yes. Absolutely.
And even outreach happens like sometimes after the fact. Like the last time we were just like in a park after, and we were just eating in the park, and people around us were like listening in on our conversation. And I think like the gears started turning just from our conversation that we were having amongst ourselves. I think we accidentally like convinced them, and they were like going up to the vegan food trucks after, and like the activism didn't stop. It kept going. And like I said, there was only a few of us. It was so great. I loved it. I really do love activism so much.
Yeah. So what's
it really did change my life.
That's amazing. That's actually amazing. So presumably you started off with not that many vegan friends. Now presumably
0.
Yeah. Now
in the area at least.
Yeah, but now presumably like all the 10 people who you went to an event with, like the first time. Presumably you're going to run into again at another AV event in the future, right? Like.
Oh yeah. I actually I have a mask, but I have some like gear and stuff too. And my organizer, oh, she's so sweet. She every time she has a wrapping up gift as well. and she prints out like a photo of uh, a local place
Uh-huh.
that went vegan, like a farm, a local farmer
Uh-huh.
that went vegan and turned their farm into a sanctuary because of AV.
Oh.
Um, and she shows us like just how much our activism matters. And the last time she got me an amazing gift, I wanted to, like the chills happened when she gave it to me. I was like, oh my god! And basically, I forget what number it was. Was it 269?
Yeah, that's the cow. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
cow. 269.
yeah. She gave me a keychain of a tag that said 269,
Yeah. Do you know what
and
that
I was like,
is?
oh my god. Yeah, she explained it to me. I actually didn't know right before then.
Uh-huh.
But then when she told me the story, I was like, oh my god, like this is the best gift ever now.
Oh, that
Yeah,
sounds
and
really
it
nice.
was so sweet.
Hmm.
And I feel like yeah, like even the people around me have turned me more vegan than I had ever been before then. With coming in contact, because I think it's just like before I had a lot of, like I said, my family and stuff that almost were going against me all the time. It was kind of hard to like have the confidence in myself and have my own belief system.
Hmm.
Um, but now with coming in contact with other people that have similar beliefs, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not crazy for thinking like this or
Yeah, they sort
something like that.
yeah, they sort of ground you that like you're not like on your own, right? You're not just like a I don't know, you're not just
Mhm.
one person who's seen the truth, but you're actually surrounded by loads of people who've seen the truth. Um,
Yeah, that and when I eat, I'm not getting like all these comments on my food.
yeah. Oh.
It's so refreshing to just have like regular conversations, so half the time it's about like, oh, I'm so frustrated about this as a vegan, and no one's gonna like judge me for it or tell me
Uh-huh.
that I try to prove me wrong. They're just agreeing. And then the other half of it, I can just talk about normal things and
Yeah.
nobody's like too on me about it. Sometimes people just bring it up and I'm not even, I don't even want to talk about it right then and there.
Yeah.
But I'm the vegan, so they have to have a conversation with me
Oh.
about it.
Well, that's
So
amazing. So you think AV is the group that you're most excited to go back to, presumably?
I'm excited about all of it.
Hmm.
I've been having a lot of stuff going on recently, so I haven't been able to plan too much with my PETA group.
Hmm.
But I I think I might go to in a couple days. I'm going to be going to if I have the time. I hope I do. But it's another like it's not Veg Fest, but
Hmm.
it's like a smaller scale like vegan festival kind
Uh-huh.
of thing.
Are you
So
going
maybe I
with
might even
friends?
get some more people. Um, or yeah, I did hear some of the people that I knew from AV were going to be going. Um, at least they said they would, but they
Mhm.
had to see. I don't mind going alone or
I
whatever. I don't really care, but I definitely want to like at least even if somebody walks by and they're like, "What is this festival about?" I'm like, "You want to hear about veganism?" Like I'm almost ready to like do activism on there too, or
no.
get more vegan members in my area. Either way, I don't care.
Uh,
I want to support all of them.
oh, that's amazing. I'm so glad that you found your vegan community because I think that's the one main difference between online activism and like real life activism is real life activism does work. It is good. You do make vegans. And there are people there. There are other vegans that you can talk to in online vegan activism spaces. But it's not the same as sitting down in a restaurant with 10 other people and like having three different conversations going on around you and being able to jump into whichever one you want, right? Like, and just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's so now looking back, it's like it feels so dumb that I was ever scared to do this,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so rewarding. It's so nice to have people that are like-minded and so different in their own ways too. There's so many different people that show up to these events, but we also have something in common, and then we fundamentally agree on certain things. Um, it's so much less lonely. Like how I remember, because there's like that whole thing that people talk about how vegans are like over the top, or they push their beliefs too much, or whatever. You know what I mean? I was almost like scared to talk to other vegans. I thought maybe I would get like crucified for maybe still having like something non-vegan in my house after I went vegan,
Oh,
because I bought it previously, or something like that. Like I thought there was going to be so much more judgment from the community, and I was just like embraced with open arms, and I was like, wow.
yeah, right.
This isn't what I thought it was at all. Like, and I guess that was my second like dystopia that you're talking about. Like, after that is like, wow, vegans aren't super triggered and yelling at people. They're actually like very down to earth human beings, like everybody else.
Yeah,
Maybe even a little bit more so than everybody else.
yeah. I spend time with quite a few different vegan groups, and one of the ones that I spend time with quite a lot is vegan runners. And I went there as a vegan activist, and they were sort of like, they had this opinion of what vegan activists were, I think, and they thought they were sort of different to what like a vegan runner is, because vegan runner spaces, everyone's really nice, they look after each other, they make each other cake, they just care about each other.
Oh,
And I think they sort of thought that vegan activists weren't like that, and they were all sort of militant and screamy and like really serious and like really angry all the time. And I took my
yeah.
vegan runners to this event that I ran with like a bunch of vegan activists as well. And one of my vegan runner friends, he went and he spoke to all these people, and he's like, Jess, all the other vegans were really nice. They were just like vegan runners. They were exactly the same. And I was like, yeah, that's how all vegan activists are. Like, we're just nice people who are really happy to meet other vegans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like the biggest mistake I ever, I think, made, besides of course buying all those products that I did beforehand,
Uh,
was just judging like vegans in general, you know,
no.
um, and being hesitant, being scared that they would hate me or something. When in reality, there's not enough of us, so we all love each other.
Exactly, right, exactly.
But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's so great. Yeah.
No. Well, thank you. Thank you for being interviewed. So usually at the end, I say something really sappy about the person I had on. Um,
Oh.
yours be weird actually, because so when I first met you, I had a really strange opinion of who you were. So
Oh.
I didn't really sort of know online vegan spaces that well. And I didn't really sort of know who people were, but I knew some people were really big names and just sort of existed in online space as well. So I knew like sort of people like Catbread and all these other people who do real life activism but also do online activism. And I just sort
Sure.
of presumed that you were a reasonably big name for some reason. I thought you were someone who'd been doing sort of in real life activism for ages, and you just sort of hung around on Omegle with us, for skiggles. Um, and then one day you were like, "Oh, Jess, I'm organizing my first in real life event," and I was like, "Oh, okay, so you're not this massive, massive name." Um,
Yeah.
and then it was just really wholesome listening to you sort of talk about the fact that you'd become an organizer and you were sort of like setting up this little group. And I don't know, it was really nice sort of
Yeah.
meeting someone else on their journey and sort of listening to that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing too, is I think a lot of people don't realize how small amount of time um I've been an activist for, vegan for.
Mm,
Um because I just jumped into it almost like immediately. And I guess I kind of made it my whole personality, but I mean, it's for the animals, so it's perfect.
Yeah, and I think if
I
it
found my
brings you
purpose,
pride.
and I think it shows.
Yeah, right. And yeah, I think when you find something that really gives you a sense of like pride and purpose, then that's really amazing, right? Because it's good for the world and it also makes you happy. Which, you know, if you can make yourself happy whilst making the world a better place, that's a pretty good combination.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But, yeah. Also,
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, and I also just want to say, like, you used to constantly sit in my home TV and my Omegle streams. Um,
Mm-hmm.
back when I sort of was first getting into it and was sort of a bit, I don't know, it was really nice just having a familiar sort of like person sort of keeping me company. And I don't think I would have done anywhere near as much as I did if I didn't have sort of people regularly come in and sit and keep me company.
Aw.
Thanks for being part of the OG Omegle community.
Yeah. No, yeah. No, definitely. Um, I did learn some things from your style of activism too. You're definitely one of the more unique people I've come in contact in activism. Sometimes it can feel very like repetitive, and I did hear a lot of like your points. That's also why I came to listen too, because I was like, oh, what new points has like Jess thought of that I haven't?
Yeah, it's weird. It sort of develops as you do it more and more and more, you find yourself repeating different talking points over and over again and like sort of changing them as you sort of progress. It's strange. You never like never stop trying to do different arguments. You know, never just decide that you've got all the arguments and stay where you are. Right? It's never because it also entertains yourself to do different arguments. Right? Like it's
Oh, absolutely,
you got to keep it interesting. Anyway,
definitely, 100%.
oh well, thank you ever so much, and hopefully we'll see each other soon.
Yeah, yeah. I thank you so much for having me. It was super great.
Boop.